Welcome to the deep dive here at Visa Verge. Today we're tackling something, well, incredibly relevant and frankly fast-moving. It impacts thousands of you planning to study in the US. Think about someone like Maya from Chennai, top student, dream set on California, years of prep. But now, suddenly, old social media posts. Maybe just a retweet, that could be the thing standing in her way. Our mission today is to cut through all this complexity surrounding the recent changes in U.S. student visa processing, especially how your digital footprint is now front and center. We want you to be truly prepared.
Exactly. And it's fascinating, isn't it, how global movement and, well, digital privacy are colliding right now. There have been really significant updates for student visas. Understanding these new rules is absolutely crucial.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. A lot of you probably follow this anxiously. After that temporary pause, the U.S. State Department finally resumed scheduling interviews for F, M, and J visas on June 18, 2025.
That was a big relief for many.
Definitely. Appointments had been stopped since May 27th. And just as a quick reminder for everyone, F visas are generally academic, M for vocational, J for exchange programs. So it covers a lot of people.
Right. And connecting the dots, that whole suspension period, it was specifically put in place to roll out these enhanced social media screening processes. USCIS, that's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, are very clear. Getting a U.S. visa, it's a privilege, not, a guaranteed right. And now that idea is really extending into the digital world.
And the biggest change, the one everyone's talking about, this directive. It requires F, M, and J applicants to set their social media accounts to public for government review.
That's the one.
And if you don't, refusal could mean rejection. They might see it as you trying to hide something, evade scrutiny. It's a huge shift in how people manage their online privacy.
It really is. This new guidance empowers consular officers to conduct, and this is their term, a comprehensive and thorough vetting of your online presence, the stated goal. To identify anyone who might be inadmissible, it really highlights the current security focus.
So, okay, your digital life is basically an open book now for them. What exactly are they looking for? Is it just a general browse, or are there specific red flags?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The criteria. The official guidance says they're looking for, quote, any indications of hostility toward the citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles of the United States.
Hostility.
That sounds definite.
Broad.
It does sound broad, but there are actually some very specific things they're told to look for within that.
Okay, let's dig a bit deeper then. What kind of specific content actually falls under that hostility banner? Is it like just general criticism or something more targeted?
It definitely goes beyond just general criticism. The guidance explicitly mentions posts that advocate for or support designated foreign terrorist organizations, groups like Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, or Ansar Allah the Houthis.
Okay, so very specific groups.
Very specific. It's not just about, vague anti-American feelings. It's about named organizations and perceived threats.
And are there other types of content that are flagged as problematic?
Yes. Content indicating anti-Semitic activity, for instance, or physical harassment of Jewish individuals. That's specifically mentioned as a serious negative factor. They're also looking closely at any history of political activism that they think might, continue once you're in the United States.
Activism history.
Right. And it's worth remembering, while this public setting requirement is new, the State Department has actually been collecting social media usernames since June 2019. On the DS-160, DS-260 forms, they ask for usernames from the last 5 years.
Ah, right. I remember seeing that.
So the collection isn't brand new, but the required public access and the intensity of the vetting, that's definitely been stepped up.
Okay, so beyond the usual suspects, Facebook, X, Instagram, does this digital screening go further?
Yeah.
What about things like, say, LinkedIn? Or online articles you've read?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just social media in the typical sense. The screening can cover pretty much any type of online presence. Publications you've authored, professional profiles like LinkedIn, even just being listed in certain online databases. They're looking at posts, sure, but also group memberships, who you interact with. Any content really from the past 5 years. It's designed to be a comprehensive digital picture.
Wow, okay. Now, shifting gears slightly, what about when you actually arrive at the airport, going through customs? This social media vetting is for the visa application, right? But
yeah.
Does it connect at all to how border agents might search your phone or laptop?
That's a really important distinction. The current social media vetting we're discussing is specifically for the visa application process itself. However, it definitely exists within this, let's say, broader environment of digital scrutiny at the border. And for student visa holders, it's really crucial to understand that Customs and Border Protection, CBP, they assert the authority to search electronic devices, phones, laptops, often without needing a warrant.
Without a warrant.
Their argument is that standard Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches don't fully apply at international borders, these points of entry. It's a stance that groups like the ACLU strongly contest, especially given how much private data our devices hold compared to, say, traditional luggage.
So picture this. You're a student, you've got your visa, you land at JFK or LAX, and a CBP officer asks for your phone and your password. What happens then? What should you expect?
Okay, so you can state that you don't consent to the search. But realistically, for a visa holder, that probably won't stop CBP from taking the device. They might do what they call a basic search right there, maybe a quick look through apps, photos, or they could take it for a forensic search, which is much deeper. That means downloading the entire contents, potentially copying everything for later analysis.
And they can just keep it.
Yes, they can hold devices for days, weeks. There are reports of devices being held for months even. You should always ask for and get a receipt if they take your device.
And refusing the password. What are the consequences specifically for a student visa holder?
This is where it gets really critical for non-citizens. U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents, they can't be denied entry just for refusing a password, though they might face delays or have the device confiscated. But for visa holders, like students on F, M, or J visas, or even tourists from visa waiver countries refusing to provide that password or access, that could actually lead to being denied entry into the U.S.
Wow, okay. So refusing isn't really a viable option for most students.
Practically speaking, no. The recommendation is usually to enter the password yourself rather than saying it out loud, and then change that password as soon as you possibly can afterwards.
This is a lot. It sounds incredibly complicated, and I can just imagine the concerns it's raising for students, especially the vagueness around some terms like hostility indicators.
It really is complex, and yes, that vagueness is a major challenge. What exactly counts as a hostility indicator? There's no clear public definition. This creates uncertainty for applicants, naturally, but it also raises questions about, well, consistency and fairness in how these reviews are conducted. Critics have used strong words, authoritarian, creepy, arguing it chills the kind of critical thinking and speech that's, part of a good education.
It almost sounds like something from another era.
Some critics have drawn parallels to Cold War-era ideological screening, absolutely. Human rights groups, education organizations, they're worried.
And we're hearing about real cases too, right? Like Ranjani Srinivasan, the Indian PhD student, visa revoked, apparently over campus activism. And other reports suggest hundreds of F1 visas, SEVIS records, being canceled for things sometimes as minor as traffic tickets. It's not just theory.
Exactly. These aren't just hypotheticals. They are impacting students' lives and academic careers. This kind of vetting fuels worries about a chilling effect on free speech. Will students self-censor? Will top international talent decide the U.S. isn't worth the hassle or the risk to their privacy? And it taps into broader anxieties. Remember that Pew Research finding? Over 80% of Americans feel they lack control over their data collected by the government. These concerns are widespread.
Okay, but what about the flip side? What if a student just isn't really on social media or keeps everything private? Is that going to be held against them? Feels like a catch-22.
It really does, and that's another tricky point. The State Department guidance actually addresses this. It says that a lack of online presence or having private accounts, quote, may be reflective of evasiveness and call into question the applicant's credibility.
So trying to be private makes you look suspicious.
Potentially, yes. It means even a deliberate choice to protect your privacy could, ironically, work against you in the visa process. For many students, this policy forces a reevaluation of their whole digital identity, not just for the visa, but for how they might engage online while in the U.S.
Okay, so given all this complexity, all these potential pitfalls, what's the practical advice? For you, the student listening right now, how do you navigate this? How do you prepare?
Right, let's get practical. Proactive, strategic preparation is absolutely key. First, let's talk DOS for your online presence before the visa interview. Number one, you must make your social media profiles public, all of them. Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever you use, before the interview.
All public, got it.
Second, go back through your content thoroughly, at least 5 years back. Check for consistency between what's online and what's in your visa application. It's not just deleting bad stuff. It's ensuring alignment.
Consistency is key.
Definitely. Third, Keep your profiles professional and honest. Accurate education, job details if applicable. Fourth, be ready to discuss anything. If a consular officer asks about a post or a connection, be prepared to explain it calmly and factually. And finally, keep monitoring. Even after you set things public, keep an eye on your accounts. This isn't a one-time thing.
Jay, those are the online prep DAWs. What about device security when traveling?
Right, for the actual travel and border crossing. 1, travel light, digitally speaking.
Okay.
Use as few devices as possible. Carry as little sensitive data as possible. Maybe use a dedicated travel phone or laptop. Shipping your main devices ahead, encrypted, is another option some consider.
A clean device, essentially.
Sort of, yes. 2, encrypt everything. Use strong, unique passwords for your devices. And crucially, power them completely OFF before you get to the border checkpoint, not just sleep mode off.
Power off, okay.
3, use secure cloud storage. Put sensitive data in end-to-end encrypted cloud services. Then, disable or log out of the apps on your device that connect to that cloud storage. No cached data left behind.
Smart. Remove the local link.
Exactly. 4, airplane mode is your friend. Keep devices off or in airplane mode with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned off as you approach and go through the checkpoint. Limits connectivity. And 5, declare privileged info. If you do have something like attorney-client communication on your device, tell the officers before they start searching. There are supposed to be some procedures for handling that, though protections are limited.
That's a really solid list of DAWs. Incredibly helpful. Now, crucially, what about the don'ts? What are the absolute things to avoid?
Okay, the big don'ts. First, don't suddenly mass delete content. It can look suspicious. Authorities might have access to older data anyway through various means. Archives exist. A sudden scrub looks like hiding something.
Right, deleting looks bad.
Second, don't post highly political or controversial stuff, especially anything critical of U.S. policies or institutions. Given the vague hostility criteria, it's safer to just avoid it leading up to and doing your visa process.
Steer clear of controversy.
Third, relatedly, don't share anything interpretable as anti-Semitic or supporting those designated terrorist groups we mentioned. Obvious red flags. Fourth, don't advertise future job plans in the U.S. before your visa is approved. Your application focus must be purely on studying.
Student intent only.
Precisely. Fifth, don't keep accounts private or refuse access if asked during the visa process. That's almost guaranteed rejection now. And finally, don't lie about having accounts if you genuinely don't use social media, but be prepared to explain why you lack an online presence. Don't suddenly create empty profiles either. That can also look evasive.
It really hammers home the point.
Yeah.
Transparency, but also extremely careful. Intentional management of your digital self seems absolutely vital now.
That's the perfect summary. Transparency and careful management. And remember, these enhanced screenings will take extra time, so students should definitely anticipate potential processing delays.
Apply early.
Apply as early as you possibly can. Be patient. Consulates are adjusting too. This detailed vetting means more work per application, which could slow things down, especially during that peak season, May to August, when most student visas are processed. And of course, if your situation feels particularly complex or you have specific concerns, talking to an immigration lawyer is always a sensible step.
Well, this has been an incredibly thorough deep dive. The landscape for U.S. student visas has clearly shifted, and understanding the role of your digital footprint is just non-negotiable now. Thoughtful prep, being aware these are your best tools.
Absolutely. You know, the stated aim might be security, but the knock-on effects for privacy, for free expression, they're significant. Really understanding these rules, making informed choices about what you put online, it's more critical than ever for anyone hoping to study in the U.S.
It is a lot to think about, definitely. But by being proactive, staying informed, and managing your digital identity carefully, you really can navigate this and pursue those educational dreams. We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights. All the best, and meet again with some other subjects soon.